Hey, welcome back. It's Dr. Matt Bradbury here from One Life Family Chiropractic. And today's segment of Ask Dr. Matt, I actually had somebody ask me, I was out in the community today and somebody was asking about the rotator cuff. And I actually had, I guess, maybe two or three questions about that this week. And so I thought I'd put some content together, some things that have been beneficial in the past. I thought you'd enjoy it as well. So I wanted to talk about first of all, timelines, right? With things, is when someone gives you a timeline, a lot of the times it's averages, right? Based on what the average population is doing, the habits of the average population, the diet of the average population. So don't necessarily fit yourself into that category, which is great, right? Which means things are modifiable. Right, which is the one thing, is what I'm always trying to share with people, members in the office, and with people in the community is that your health is within your control. So I think that's a really important point. Is if someone said 6 to 12 months, don't forget that's the average for I'm just not necessarily about you, but just an average for rotator cuff healing, let's say chronic injury. So think about the averages as the average person. It's not going to be you. So let's focus on the things you can do right now. The most important thing is making it a habit, right? So a lot of times when somebody tells me they still have challenges, whether it's rotator cuff or whatever it may be, I say, hey, what are you still doing for yourself, right? If you're trying to keep up with your job, remember that if you're trying to keep up with your job, you got to do something to build some tolerance and compliance so you can keep up with your job. You can't just show up every single day and think that, you have to have some sort of training to keep up with the job. So if you show up every single day just taking it for granted, like it's going to be like this forever, it's not necessarily going to be the case. So think about something you can stick with in your routine every single day to improve, in this case, the way your shoulder and your rotator cuff works. So if it was me, keep in mind a lot of the time, not necessarily all the time, but the majority of the time, the alarm bells, the symptoms will start to go away and you'll still need to work on function. Right? So maybe the pain's gone, but restoring function, which is often 80 and 90% of the picture, is going to take some work, right? Whether that's 90 days, 120 days, whatever it may be, give yourself some time to adapt to a new habit. So in this case, I believe the person had been injured 3 months ago and they didn't necessarily have any pain, but they still had some tweaks by the sounds of it and things that weren't going very well for them and some things they'd like to improve. So they've been to the physical therapist and the osteopath. And remember, these things, these professionals are awesome, but they probably address different things. And I know the one thing that we address really well in the office is your neurospinal function. So how your brain communicates with the rest of your body. How it sends messages from here all the way down. Nerves got to go to your muscles, but also your organs. So we're really good with helping with structural shifts. And the only way to know if you have a structural shift is to actually be tested by a family chiropractor. I mean, most people don't know that. They think that maybe the osteopath is doing the same thing, and I want to share with you, quite frankly, they are not. Right? So the only way to know if you're structurally shifted is to visit a family chiropractor and be tested to actually know. Much like today, I was cooking a fresh burger on the barbecue. It's one thing to guess after, a couple of minutes, but at the end of the day, I like to stick the thermometer to know that it's hit 165, 170, to actually know that it's done, right? We can play the guessing game all we want, but you don't know. I'm not going to guess that it's 165. You're going to stick the thermometer in to actually objectively test. So the only way to know if you're actually shifted and stuck and there's pressure on those nerves is to be tested by a family chiropractor. So what could you do on your own, right? If I was trying to, regroove a pattern, right? And some of the things you can do on your own are going to be really important because what you do every single day helps with those habits and building that compliance so you can be at your best. So first off, if you can actually move your arm, is just focus on what's called D1, D2 pattern, right? So reach down, put your hand in your pocket, pull it out, reach up, and reach down and put your hand in your back pocket. With this, I would focus on keeping my core contracted. Just engage 10 to 20% and just make that a part of actually being regular with your routine. Second thing you can do is just be really simple in terms of not necessarily a band yet, but grab something like a weight. Pretend this is a water bottle, right? And just, pick the water bottle up and you can start raising your arm. Now, usually a 500 ml water bottle is about a pound. So you can bring your arm up and you'll notice, bring it there. Usually pour the water cup a little bit. And you can even bring it all the way over your head, just so you get used to actually using that range of motion. I mean, there's going to be some other stretches that you can do and some other neat things, but I just wanted to share these with you today as some strengthening coordination activities you can do potentially right now. So the second stage is with a weight. Third stage is with some sort of band, right? I like these bands just because you can tie them off on your balusters at home, or tie it somewhere secure where you know it's not going to break on you. These, I mean, if you really want one, just let me know and you can pick one up in the office. I think there's a fee with them, I don't know, $6 or $7, but just ask Grace when you're at the front. But from here, when you're doing it, essentially think about the same things, ranges of motion with your shoulder, because the old cliche things, if you don't use it, excuse me, you're going to lose it. It's true. Typically, you got to actually keep active and move your body. So what I do is, you can anchor it somewhere and just focus on. Notice I keep my elbow in the same position, keep my core engaged, keep my shoulder at the same height, and just focus on bringing it back, pause, and bring it in. Right, now this could be your baluster at home, an anchor, whatever you have to actually weight it on, something sturdy. So I do that. I do it at the 90 degrees too, so from here, and just pretend it's anchored. And with this stuff, remember, it's more of, your rotator cuff has to sustain itself for a long period in the day, so it's more endurance trained, right? So you're probably going to be somewhere in the realm of, 12 to 20 reps when you do it. Make it a regular part of your routine. The other thing I love, which I showed on social media earlier this week on Instagram, is just the face pull. So you have your band anchored around something at eye level, right? And pretend this is anchored up here. You can check this out on my Instagram as well, or my Facebook down below. Is just bring your arms this way straight, keep your upper back engaged, and try to pull apart a bit too as you come across. Come up, pause at the top, always thumbs this way, and then back down, using your upper back and your rotator cuff muscles. The last thing I want to show you is actually just the band pull apart. I've done this so many times, but I love it, right? And you're right here, and just pull it across your chest line, pause. I think it's the easiest thing you can do for yourself in terms of upper back health and undoing some of those challenges. If you're working at a cash register, at a coffee house, if you're working over people like myself as a family chiropractor, the neat thing is one thing you can add to your routine. Keep this in your purse or your suitcase, your briefcase rather. Elbows, slightly bent a bit, but for the most part your arms are straight. Come through, pause, and bring back to the front. So notice I started with just moving as a regular part of my routine, maybe 10 times this way, reach to your back 10 times, and then I added a weight, like a water bottle, picked up the water bottle, and just practice moving, whether it's a lateral raise, whatever it may be, and then actually adding a band in. So the band would probably be the third or the fourth stage, just because it has a different load, right? It wants to pull you back down, right? Which I think is a really neat way of training. It's just not the way you're going to train all the time. When you're first, letting your rotator cuff heal, it's important, especially in those first 3 to 5 days, you let the scab heal and things start to solidify before you start going to necessarily band. So just start moving it first and go from there. It's all about reestablishing that connection between your brain and your body and making sure that your arm actually coordinates the way it used to, because as soon as you're injured, there becomes more of a disconnect between here and the other end, which is the muscle, right? So those are some things you can do on your own. At the finite level is always that tuning. If you're structurally shifted in the spine, upper neck, wherever it may be, unless you test, you don't know, in those areas, then that may be the last piece of the puzzle to put it all together. Anyways, if you have any questions, let me know. And I'm really excited about a new segment we're going to be starting. Next week we got Jen at Cartwheels Gymnastics Club. And then on Thursday we have Antonella from Antonella Fitness, which we're going to be talking about some tips and some things you can do for fat loss at home. Anyways, we're starting a new segment, which I have some news coming up about, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great Thursday afternoon. Bye for now.